Wait a minute.
Model.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. I'd like to make a motion that we have subsequent business. It's not on the agenda.
And that is,
And one will be for the amendment of an ordinance regulating recreational burning. And the other will be the authorization entering into a contract for speed enforcement systems.
I'll second.
Okay, so
Then I'll vote for it.
Yeah. all in favor?
Aye.
We'll do that under first select. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the November 21st meeting of the Board of Selectmen?
I'll make that motion.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No communications, no appointments or resignations. Under the first selectman's report, what I'd like to do, Billy, we've got an ordinance for regulating recreational burning for the town meeting.
Okay.
What we'd like to do, the Board of Selectmen, is make an amendment to it.
Okay.
And is that all fit the bill in terms of, I would make a motion that on the bullet point, fires must always be attended by at least one adult 18 years or older by a responding authority on scene, and remove rational person deemed responsible.
This isn't an ordinance.
I wanted to know
So we
who
can
that would
something
be.
that's not an ordinance.
Yeah, you can.
Well, it's a proposed ordinance.
Can we amend it now and then pass it and then just say it tonight? Okay.
Billy, this is a proposed ordinance. Can we amend this
I think so.
here?
Even though it's not an ordinance yet?
Well, we can amend it because we're the ones that send it to the board,
You're the one
to
that
the
are
town.
proposing this, right?
Right.
Yeah, so you could change it here at this meeting and then at the meeting, say this is what the proposed.
Great.
Because it's on the agenda, so we can just say we
Yeah,
made
it's not-
these
As long as
amendments.
it's on the agenda for the
Yeah.
town meeting, then you can.
Yeah, we can,
Someone could actually amend any,
Sure.
anything.
That can-
But I think if you guys do that, then.
yeah, again, that's one amendment. The other is in the second bullet point. Delete only clean dry wood may be burned, the diameter of which not less than 3 inches or not greater than 6 inches at the widest point and longer than 3 feet in length. Rather, just leave no leaves, grass, trash, pallets, treated or painted wood, construction, demolition materials, rubber, petroleum-based materials, and nothing that contains flammables or combustibles. I propose those two changes.
And what if there's a third one I thought at the bottom, didn't we?
And eliminate on the second to last bullet point, eliminate the word larger.
Just,
Yeah.
just that we have an
Fire's
amendment,
not covered.
right?
So I'm sorry, the first change is to eliminate and just have no leaves, grass, trash.
Right, take off this.
Forget the only clean wood.
They're all deletions, no additions.
Right,
Okay.
because like the one is under 3, has to be at least as big as something, and so if you wanna start your fire with twigs, then you can't do it according to that ordinance, because a twig is smaller
Well,
than,
not less than, yeah, that's.
well, that didn't make sense.
Okay.
All right, so
So those are the three deletions.
I'll second that motion to
Any
make
further
those changes.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Second item is, as everyone knows, we're working through the permit process with the state for these automatic enforcement speed signs. The third-party vendor we deal with, Dacotech, has changed their policy. They sent out a contract yesterday. Rather than pay any money up front, we simply add $3.50 of their cut to each violation.
And that means.
And then that means we have the camera, they warranty it in perpetuity. We don't have to put out $28,000 in our capital budget,
Really?
all that. Now,
Oh, but even.
it
the-
initially came with, when I went through the contract, it had $3.50 per violation or $1,000 a month, whatever was greater. I called them up. I said, we don't budget for that. That's a deal breaker. So they
Right.
took that out of the contract. So we're right, all we have is an additional $3.50 per violation.
But that's coming out of the violation itself, or we're paying that separately from
No, it
the
comes,
money that we take in?
it comes out of the violation. So just like the $10 they get for,
Yeah,
they,
they get
now they get $13.50,
50, right, and we get the balance.
the balance of
Okay,
50 or
that makes
75.
sense.
28,000 is the cost of the units, Jim?
So
Roughly,
therefore, we
yeah.
no longer have to buy the units
8,000 violations to pay for
or the speed sign.
it.
Correct.
A long time before each sign racks up 8,000
Yeah,
violations.
and this is a double, it collects data both ways.
Love that.
Because, and that was the reason, what set this all off was the state, prior to saying we're gonna get final approval, said, we'd like you to get this equipment, right? So we're still on track, everything's good, but that would be allow us to enter in. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye,
Selectmen's reports.
I'm good tonight.
You as well?
Great. No old business, new business. I would make a motion that we approve and forward to the Board of Finance, the appropriation of $330,000 from the Affordable Housing Fund to pay for feasibility and pre-development costs for the development of 77 Ripon Road. Now, I know there's gonna be some discussion. Do we have a second?
I'll
Second.
happily second that.
Andrew, you had some questions, I think, and Bill Fairburn, is here. Yeah, sure.
Sure, you never want to hear you a little better.
Second talk.
Yeah,
If you see, they'll see you on the hour from anywhere here, come. Talk.
hi, Andrew.
Hi. Yeah, I just had some questions and maybe the answers to those questions are out there and you could just point me in the right direction to find the documents and that'll be fine. I vaguely recall at a previous meeting some discussion about the expectations for this site and approximately how many units of what type you were thinking of putting there. So could you just kind of summarize kind of what you have in mind based on what you know to date?
Yeah, so Andrew, the town has, and through the Housing Commission has given us $23,500 to do a feasibility, test, on the property, which is in progress. So at this point, there's, anything would just be speculation as to number of units, number of bedrooms. So until the report is done, there's really no information I can give you.
And when is that expected to be complete?
Well, it's in progress, probably sometime this winter.
I mean, would it make sense to kind of wait and see what that says before going ahead?
Well,
I mean,
we're
that's
not
for you
going
to
ahead
decide,
with,
obviously.
yeah, we're not going ahead with anything until that's done, so.
Okay. And then there's going to be this initial planning, feasibility, pre-development expenditure that is to be paid for with the 330,000. And then presumably if all goes well, then there would be construction costs and so forth after that. Is that right? And those funds would come from other sources, not from the town or not meaningfully from the town.
Well, once a plan comes together, and the plan will come together with the input from the town's housing commission, from people in the community. And funding for it will apply for state grants on this. We're trying to do some personal fundraising in addition, and the town has in the past contributed money for, at least one of our projects, the Riverwoods. They gave us 200,000. So that would be a matter for the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Finance, and then eventually the legislative body of the town as to whether they want to, put some money into that.
Andrew,
Okay,
I can't
Go ahead,
share with you. I can't share with you that starting last year, this fiscal year, the board is committed going forward to a much greater contribution to the housing fund, which helps the trust to get these projects to fruition.
Sure. And I mean, I'm in favor of the idea of, affordable housing and removing obstacles to allow the market to flourish and, good housing at reasonable cost. I'm asking these questions just to, convince myself and perhaps others that the way we're going about it with this particular site and so forth is the best way to go forward and that the money will be well spent. So I did have a question about, these other sources that you'll use for the construction and so forth. I take it that those sources are not available to pay for this feasibility and pre-development phase? That people and state organizations that are asked to donate, they want to see a concrete plan. They don't want to fund uh, a study. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, the Department of Housing is not sponsoring pre-development funds. So the
Okay.
funds would have to either come from the Housing Trust or the town. The Housing Trust doesn't have the funds for these pre-development costs. So the
Okay.
town is granting us that money.
And the 330,000, assuming all goes well, when that is spent, you will have in hand architectural drawings, construction plans, as well as the necessary approvals.
That's what I have on the breakdown of estimated
Yeah.
costs. is
Right, right,
Final architectural and engineering plans.
right.
Is included in that.
Okay. But presumably, if, as you're doing these studies, if you find something unexpected that's going to make the cost much higher, or fewer units could be built or something like that, you wouldn't just go ahead and spend the rest of the money. You'd sort of stop and say, well, maybe we need to change direction. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, a plan, any plan that's put together would be based on the feasibility study. So, if the feasibility study comes back and says you can put one house on the thing, then clearly, we're not going to be expending this money.
Okay, that's good to hear. Now, I'm not familiar with the legal structure of the housing trust, but one question that came to mind is, are you required in general, or alternatively, are you required with respect to this particular grant to build on that property? Or if it made sense, could you sell that property and use the proceeds to buy a different property where you could build more units or lower cost or something like that?
Well, the property was donated, so if we were to try to sell the property, we would have to have a conversation with the donor as to whether that would be something that was acceptable to him.
Okay. The grant or the donation rule out that possibility.
We'd have to discuss it with the donor.
Okay. Okay. Good. Well, this has been very helpful. I don't want to take up the board's time too much. But I'll just leave with one more question. Jim, could you just go through the process from here forward? I know it goes to the Board of Finance next, and then is there a town meeting?
Yes, there will be. There'll be a town meeting to approve this, Andrew.
Okay.
And
Thank
you're
you.
not taking up too much time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody online? Aye. Krista?
Visitors, anyone online? Hearing none, I would make the motion to adjourn.
Second that one?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Oh, there.